Well, good morning, everyone. It's so good to see everybody today. I just want to kind of clear the air a little bit today. Maybe somebody heard that I took a little ambulance ride yesterday, so I just want to dispel and just clarify that. Was involved with Revive Indiana all week. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But yesterday morning, we were at church in Crown Point, and we were praying together. As we stood up to sing, we just got massive chest pains. And I thought it was something different. But everybody was like, no, you need to, so they called an ambulance and all that, yada, yada, yada. And so anyway, they carted me off to the hospital, and they spent a couple hours there, and they gave me a clear bill of health and said it was probably just dehydration and cramps from dehydration. And so it's all good, and I'm happy to be here. But I will tell you, yesterday when I was there, I'm telling you, this pain was unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. It was, I'm sore today from whatever it was. And I'm looking around the people there, and I'm like, I wonder how many of these guys are going to come to my funeral. That's how serious it felt yesterday. But I'm good today, and praise the Lord. You know, we live in some perilous days, don't we? And if you turn on the news for any length of period of time, it just seems to be all bad news, doesn't it? And it's not. It is a lot of bad news. I mean, they're not making this stuff up, but going back to what happened in Orlando back in June, and then what happened in Dallas a couple of weeks ago, and what happened in Paris last week. You just see all of this stuff going on, and you're like, where's God in all of this? And how much crazy is the world going to get? But I want you to know that the people of God are fighting back. And let me show you how they're fighting back. This is yesterday in Washington, D.C. There's over 1 million people on the mall in Washington, D.C., and they're all under the age, most all of them are under the age of 25. And they're from all backgrounds, all ethnicities, and it's something that happened yesterday in Washington, D.C. So be encouraged by that. Our encouragement is that we're just not, we don't take up arms, we take up praise. We take up worship. And we put God out in front of the problem. And so this was on the mall yesterday in Washington, D.C. And then last night in Chicago, there's a few of us that went up there, and there's about, John, would you say 15,000, 16,000 people? The Sears Center was packed. And there we were. I can probably see John in that picture somewhere. He was on the floor on the stage. And but here we were. What's the antidote for all that's going on in Chicago? What do? We put God first, and we praise and we worship and we proclaim the good news of Jesus. That's what we do. So that's something called the Worship Night in America, and those are going on all over America. And then last week I spent a week out on the streets and I was with brothers and sisters in LaPorte County for 2 days. Monday and Tuesday we were in LaPorte County, and then Wednesday and Thursday we were in Porter County. And then Friday and yesterday we were in Lake County. And this is taken on the corner of 43rd and Broadway there in Gary. And those are a couple of guys from my team, a couple of pastors. One pastor there, Mike, he was here at church on Mother's Day. He supported Ryan, the other pastor with the Captain America shirt on. He's from Gary. He's of Puerto Rican descent, and he has a passion and a heart for the people of Gary. And can I just share two things that happened, just briefly, just in Lake County, in East Chicago? If you've never experienced anything about what I'm about to tell you, you think that I might be speaking a foreign language. But these were things that happened. I was there, okay? So these happened to me. And so we were out praying in the community up in East Chicago, and I said, I think we need to go back where there's this little park that we had cleaned up, and there's a lot of garbage in a park. So we got a couple of garbage bags from the church across the street, and we went to clean up this park. And I said, we just need to walk down this street. And so as we're walking down the street, there's a gentleman sitting up on a porch. And there's 4 of us in the team, and my son Preston was with me, and I said, let's go talk to this guy. So we walk across the street, and we come up to the guy's house, and introduce myself and tell them we're from Revive, Indiana. We're just Christians gathered together, and we're out praying for people in the community. There's just something that we can pray with you about. He has a piece of paper in his hand, and he hands it to me. And it's an obituary of his daughter. He was burying his daughter the next day. He said, man, you came to my house at just the right time. And so we were able to minister him and just pray with him and talk with him. And I got his name, and I got permission to go back in a week or so and just speak into his life, because the funeral was on Saturday, and so it was just an opportunity to pray with him and comfort him. And then as we were walking back to the car, we see 3 people sitting out in front of their door, and so one of our groups says, we need to get down there. So we head on down there and talk to her and to the people, and they were scrambling to get inside. And so the daughter was having to leave to go to work, and so the older black couple, they went into the house. And the gal who was with us, her name was Margaret, she said, I really need to pray for this gentleman. And you could tell that he was struggling to get in the house. There was something wrong physically with him. So we came back to the house, and Margot knocked on the door, and I sent Preston and the other guy to the car, which was right across the street. I said, we'll just go talk to this gentleman. 4 seems like a gang, so just 2 of us would go. And so we went and we knocked on the door, and the lady opens the door, and Margot starts speaking to this lady, and listen, I feel like I need to pray. And she slams the door, bam, in her face. I'm like, Margot, I guess that's your sign. And she says, no, this guy, I need to pray for this guy. There's something going on here. So she just starts praying and says, Lord, by a miracle, just open this door so that we can pray for this guy. And the door opens. And it's the guy. And he's sitting in a wheelchair. So we asked if we could go in, and so Margot and I went in and sat down with this gentleman, and Margot did all the talking, and I did all of the sitting, and I was just praying for them as we went there, and come to find out the lady who slammed the door in her face was the wife of this gentleman in this wheelchair, and she was deaf. And she slammed the door just simply because she couldn't understand what we were saying. And so we had an opportunity to pray for him, and she wrote on a piece of paper that he's going to the doctor on Tuesday because he has cancer. They just found cancer. He didn't know the Lord. He had never heard the gospel message. And so we got to share with him the good news of Jesus. And we got follow-up, and we got information, and we're going to be going back there and talking with him. But I bring that up because I want you to be encouraged that God is not sitting on his throne doing nothing. He's doing something, and he's doing something through the saints. When the saints put the Lord first, and when the saints gather together and to pray and to praise the living God, things change.
Amen.
And that's where the power is. The power is not in us fighting back. The power is in the Lord changing the hearts of the people. And he's using us to do that. So I just want to encourage you to keep praising God. When you come to a difficult situation in your life, instead of panicking, praise God. And Louis Giglio last night talked about Jehoshaphat. And King Jehoshaphat, when they were really against it, when they were really up against it, they had 3 armies coming against them. And so the Lord sent the choir out to fight the battle ahead of the armies. And God used the praise of the saints to defeat the enemies. And that's what we see here. Just people just getting out and praising God and saying the answer is found in Jesus. And so I just wanted to share with you one last thing about Revive Indiana over this last week. And let me give you some statistics that we had. We had 119 teams go out into the community of Lake County, Porter County, and LaPorte County. 476 people went out to engage other people. 250 English Bibles were given out, 34 Spanish Bibles given out, over 600 conversations, which means that there were over 600 people prayed for. There were 50, 60 churches at least, just in Lake County that were prayed for, pastors prayed for. Pastors are under assault. It's just the way it is. I can't help but think yesterday that a part of what happened was just simply over the last few months, I have been under unbelievable assault, like I've never experienced in my life. And pastors everywhere we go are under the same thing. We met with a pastor in Gary, and as we prayed with him in his office, he just began to weep because he was under such stress. So not only are we praying for the president, not only are we praying for the leaders of our country, not only are we praying about the world situation, offering God the praise and the honor He's due, pray for the pastor. When you're driving down the street and you see a church, pray for that pastor. Pray for the leaders in that church. Because the enemy is up to something of no good, but God is always up to something good. So just want to give you a little update on what's been going on over the last week. So open your Bibles, if you would, please, to the book of Luke. Luke, the 15th chapter. And we find a really cool account of Jesus giving some parables. And we have one little parable that I want to kind of focus in on this morning, and it's the parable of the lost coin. Luke chapter 15 and verse 8. And Jesus has just given, first of all, He's given a parable about a lost sheep. And then He talks about the rejoicing that happens when a lost sheep is found. And then He gives another parable about something lost. And I want you to be thinking about, as we read this parable, something of value that you've lost that you can share with us. And I'll give you a couple of things that I've lost in my life that are valuable. So as we read through this, just be thinking about something that you've misplaced or lost and you couldn't find. Because this woman had that situation. So Luke chapter 15, verse 8, it says this. Or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Won't she light a lamp and sweep the entire house and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she will call in all her friends and neighbors and say, "Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost coin." In the same way, there is joy in the presence of God's angels when even one sinner repents. So here's this lady. She has 10 coins. She loses one coin. So among our young people, what percentage of her coins did she lose? If she had 10 and she lost one, what percent is that she lost?
9.
Well, she has 9 left, so what percentage did she lose? 10%. Very good. We have a math major somewhere around this section. She loses a tenth of her money. She loses 10% of her money. She can't find this coin. And so she begins searching under the sofa cushions. She's looking through the cupboards. She's looking under the bed. She's picking up the mattress. She's checking all of the pockets. She's looking through her purse. She's everywhere she can't find things. You know, Disney World has a lost and found, so I was just checking to see some of the interesting things that they have found in Disney's Lost and Found. And so they have some of the normal things, you know, like combs but they've also had recovered prosthetic legs. They've even recovered an eyeball, you know, a glass eye. You know, that would be, excuse me, do you have an eye? I'm missing one. So, I mean, they find some weird things. And so I have lost stuff in my life that mostly my mind, but I lose stuff all the time. And a few weeks ago, I went and got a brand new pair of glasses. And we had one brother who noticed it. He's the only person who noticed that I had good glasses. And I lost these brand new pair of glasses, and I spent like $300 on them. And because I don't get glasses very often, so it's been like 4 years since I had a new pair of glasses. And so I To this day, I have no idea what happened to them. They're just gone. I've lost them. Literally, I've lost them. And so it depends on how valuable something is how hard we'll search for it. Right? So if this lady if she had 10 coins, but one of them was a penny, probably not going to lose too much sleep over losing that. But if she had $100 and she lost 10, I mean, all she had was $100 and she loses a $10 bill, you can believe she's going to search. So what are some things that maybe you've lost, that you've searched and searched and searched, and it took you a long time to find? Any volunteers of something that you searched for?
My iPod.
Your iPod. I was sure that you would look for that iPod until you found it. Preston, what have you lost?
My phone.
Your phone. You know, that was one of the things I was going to say, that these kids nowadays, if they lose their phone, they will not sleep until they find it. For sure. What are some other people? What are some things that you've lost that you really searched and searched and searched? Yes?
My car.
Keys to your car. How many have ever lost keys to your car? They're always in the place. Well, look at the last, but look where you left them. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Yes.
A while back, quite a while back, before we got married, I couldn't find, thought somebody stole them, maybe my sisters or something, I don't know, but a couple of yearbooks, a couple of photo albums.
Yearbooks and photo
Yeah, I
albums.
was able to get the pictures.
Right.
And then some jeans too, so.
Jeans, yeah, the jeans, but photo albums, you can't replace those. Yes, sir.
TV remote.
TV, anybody lose a TV remote? Now that's panic. When you can't find a remote, you will search high and low to find that remote. They need a remote to find the remote, right? We need something like that. So we can all identify with this lady who has lost something, right? Because we've all had those things in our lives that we check our pockets for, and we look and we look and we scratch our head. I was with a gentleman one time, and we were doing a roof. We were putting shingles on a roof. Believe it or not, I have done that kind of manual labor in my life. And so he was patting down his pockets. And he was checking behind his ear, and he was looking all over the roof. And he just stopped and he was thinking. And then he would pat himself down again. I said, Gary, what are you looking for? And he says, my pencil. It was in his mouth. So sometimes that's what happens to us, right? So we've all lost things in our lives, or we've misplaced things, and depending on their value will dictate how hard we search for them, right? Because if it's not very valuable to us, we're not going to search that hard. But if it's something that's almost irreplaceable, like a cell phone, or a remote to a TV, or glasses, we will really search diligently, and we will exhaust all resources until we finally declare it to be gone, to be missing, to be lost. And Jesus has given us a story about a lady who lost something that was very, very valuable to her. It was so valuable to her that when she finally did find it, she invited all the neighbors to come over and rejoice with her because the lost coin had been found. So apparently that coin that was lost was really, really valuable to her. Now, if I was to find my glasses somehow, some way that they would just mysteriously appear, chances are not very high that I'm going to go invite all of my neighbors to come over to my house and rejoice with me because my glasses that were lost have now been found. They would say, call 911, we have an issue. Right? It's just some glasses. But this lady, she lost something that was so valuable to her that she wanted everybody in on the celebration. So then we ask ourselves the question, what was that worth to her? Apparently a great deal. You know, we were lost. And so we ask ourselves the question, how valuable are we in God's eyes? Because of what happened in the garden way back with Adam and Eve. We were separated from God. We were lost from God. And apparently, God deems us very, very valuable because He paid a tremendous price to find us and to bring us back. You know, our society determines the worth of somebody by what they offer. The reason we send our young people to school is so that they will be more valuable to society, and the more valuable they are to society, the more income that they can generate. If I have no skills in the workforce, I cannot expect someone to pay me very much. But the more skills that I bring into my life, the better I am at something, the more valuable I become in the marketplace. But God doesn't look at us that way. God places an equal value on every single one of us. And you know what that value is? Priceless. Priceless. There's no one in the room that is more valuable than anyone else in the room. In the Old Testament, how many of you have been down to the tabernacle? Anybody get a chance to go down to the tabernacle yet? Today is the last day, so if you haven't had a chance to get to the tabernacle at Crossroads Church, just out here on Janus Drive, I'm really encouraging you to go. It is really good. Right, you guys went? It's really neat, isn't it? So you go to each station, and they talked about in here, in one of the stations, how every single Israelite had to pay a half a shekel as a tithe to the tabernacle. If you were rich, the price was a half a shekel. If you were dirt poor, the price was a half a shekel. Because in God's eyes, what He was telling us through this, that everybody has the same value. And what is that value? Priceless. Because in the story we find this lady who was looking for something, and she couldn't find it. And when she did find it, there was a great celebration. Jesus is telling us about us. You see, because in the previous parable, there's a story of a lost sheep. And listen to me, what happens, listen to what Jesus said when a lost sheep was found. Rejoice with me because I have found my lost sheep. And when He arrives, He calls all of His friends and neighbors to get together. He's rejoicing. He had a sheep that was lost, and He went out to find it, and when He did find it, He was rejoicing. You see, this parable about the lost sheep and this parable about the lost coin, it's a parable about us. Jesus is talking about us. That when one of us says yes to Jesus, there's a party going on. Heaven rejoices. And Jesus, when you said yes to Jesus, when you said yes, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of the living God. I believe that He was crucified for my sin. I believe that He raised from the dead. When you said yes to that, when you took the step of saying, I'm committing my life and I'm going to be immersed in that water to show the whole world that my sins are now washed away, that I am pure, that I'm living for God, you know what Jesus did? He gathered all the angels together. He said, you know what? Dwayne is found. Rich is found. He was lost, but now he's found, and there's a party going on. Why? Because you are that valuable to God. And so the question I want to give to the young people today is, what are you worth? You're priceless. You're priceless. Everyone in this room, in God's eyes, is priceless. How do we know that we're priceless? Here's how we know. For God so loved the world that He sent His greatest treasure. He sent the most precious part of heaven. He sent the one He loved so deeply. He sent the one who created everything. He sent His greatest treasure to bring you back to Himself. See, you're not worth just a half a shekel. You're worth everything because God paid everything to bring you back. You are priceless in God's sight. Let's stand. Father, what a great message we get from such a short little parable about a lost coin and how this lady just rejoiced when she found it. And Father, that's us. You have rejoiced when we said yes to Jesus. When we said yes to the sacrifice that was made to bring us back to you. And so, Father, today we rejoice in your rejoicing. We are delighted in your delight. We are thrilled that you are thrilled that we're back home with you. And so today we just worship you and we praise you and we say thank you for loving us the way that you have. May you receive all the praise, all the glory, all the honor, because you alone are the one we worship. In the name of Jesus, we proclaim these things.